Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Slowey and I am the Operations Director here at Qdos. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing what organisations can do 1 month out from IR35 Reform in the private sector to ensure that they are prepared in advance of the introductory date. Now, I wholly appreciate that 1 month isn't a significant amount of time, but speaking from experience, I'm confident that it's an ample amount of time in order to support a lot of organisations being prepared ahead of that introductory date. Now, there is lots for organisations to consider and it is going to take a reasonable amount of concerted effort, but it's ultimately going to be worth it in order to demonstrate your compliance with the legislation. First and foremost, you want to document and communicate your strategy. By this point, you need to have considered what the most appropriate approach is for your organisation in order to make sure that you're making accurate determinations on your contractor population. Once you've done that, you need to make sure that that approach is documented and that you can actually substantiate why you have chosen a particular path. Now, keeping these sorts of records goes pretty far when it comes to thinking about any future HMRC compliance checks. In addition to that, and as you naturally would expect, you in turn then need to communicate that approach through your organisation, both in terms of with your hiring community, with your onboarding teams and HR teams within your organisation or procurement teams, as well as with your contractors and your suppliers too, to make sure that everyone has a full appreciation of what their involvement is going to be in that process. Secondary to that is going to be training your staff and ensuring that they're fully au fait with the processes that they're going to be participating in. That's a really big measure to make sure that the organisation can demonstrate reasonable care. So the staff that you select or elect to be representatives for managing your IR35 determination process need to have an appreciation of the process inside out. They need to understand the specifics and the basis upon which those determinations are being made. And they need to have a general appreciation and understanding of IR35 itself and your organisation's stance on particular aspects of IR35. The most important part of that programme is ultimately going to be your fulfilment of making the determinations in your workforce. Now, speaking from experience, I would say not to underestimate the amount of time that that's actually going to take. Now, this will be very much driven by the determination process that you have chosen, but you want to make sure that you allow for each party who's going to be involved in that determination process an appropriate amount of time to fulfil their respective part. So whether that's having contractors contribute and complete questionnaires, having a third-party expert review and consider information, as well as having your hiring community or the elected representatives within your business actually participate and consider those reviews, so that when it comes to being able to issue those status determinations, you can confidently say that that process has been followed consistently across the board within your organisation. Now, assessing your workers doesn't stop at just issuing the status determination statement. That is pretty important, and you need to make sure that the format of that documentation clearly sets out the determination and the rationale behind arriving at that particular determination. But as I said, you then need to make sure that you're communicating that through your supply chain to both the next party in the supply chain to you, so your fee payer, your recruitment agency, and the individual limited company contractor as well. Now, notwithstanding that, at the point where you have issued the status determination statements, the process doesn't end there. There is that challenge process that organisations client side need to have to ensure that contractors can exercise that right of challenge should they want to dispute a determination that has been undertaken. Now, similar to the assessment process, you need to make sure that has been clearly communicated both within your organisation, to your contractors and to your suppliers, because ultimately that process can drive the end date or the backstop date of your entire programme. Now, as I said, that is a considerable amount of work that needs to be done in a short space of time, but it is manageable. Ultimately, organisations need to start with that programme sooner rather than later in order to make sure that you're going to be compliant ahead of the introductory date of the legislation. Thank you for listening today. Now, as always, if you want to stay up to date with Qdos news, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the box below, there is a link to our recent webinar series where we specifically focus on certain aspects of IR35 reform on outsourced services through to international parties in the supply chain, as well as a general roundup of what the changes actually are.